Exclusive contract with Feilu Novel Network Novel. Understanding the adventures of the Heavenly God in the Embryo. The condensing method of the Heavenly God in the Embryo traversed to the fantasy world and become the unborn prince of the Dali Dynasty. But he discovered that he had fetal poison in his body and had been involved in the struggle for imperial power. Fortunately, he awakened his supernatural intelligence and rewritten the fate of stillbirth. You observe the growth process of the fetus in the mother's body, understand the true meaning of life's birth, and create the method of innate divine fetal cohesion after birth. He became a teacher of heaven, earth, sun, moon, mountains, rivers, plants, and trees, improving himself and singing and pushing forward all the way. You read the records of the ancient struggle between gods and demons, understand the scene of the emergence of gods and demons, and create the immortal body of gods and demons. You observe the rotation of the sun and moon, absorb the essence of the sun and moon, and create the yin-yang spirit-gathering method. You watch the sky full of stars, understand the principles of the movement of 10,000 stars, and create the 10,000 star flying immortal technique. You observe the trend of the geographical dragon veins on the earth, mountains, and rivers, and confirm them with the internal meridians, creating the method of constructing the human dragon veins. You have slain all the princes, seized the throne, felt the blessings of the imperial court, listened to the wishes of the people, and created Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Anti-Heavenly Understanding, Congenital Divine Embryo Coagulation Method. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Qiyang Realm, Feilu, Dali Dynasty, Kyoto. At this time, it is early spring, the weather is warming up, and the earth is steaming with heat. The number of people on the street has also increased. After spending all winter, cats can finally come out to bask in the sun and get rid of the cold. The streets are bustling with people coming and going. Before a tea stall, there were a few common people sitting there chatting and chatting. Did you hear that just a few days ago, the crown prince of Ruyang had already entered the realm of warriors? Upon hearing these words, everyone was startled. No, that young prince, isn't he just over 2 years old? He's too rebellious, isn't he? Someone exclaimed in surprise. However, soon he lowered his voice. No matter how rebellious he is, it's useless. Our current empress gone in the Dali Dynasty is already in her 60s. According to the news from the palace, he is still a dragon seed. It's just a pity that the Empress Dowager, who gave birth to a princess 2 years ago, is still a fool to this day. A few people said this, but they all tacitly stopped talking. Glancing at each other, they all silently drank tea. Good guy, I'm wearing it as a fetus now. Do you want it to be so thorough? In the chaotic womb. Fang Han felt his small arms and legs, as well as the umbilical cord on his belly, with a bewildered expression on his face. In his past life, he died suddenly on the path of happiness and retribution. But don't want to, open your eyes again. Unexpectedly, she wore it directly as a fetus. I don't know what my identity is in this life or in what world. He quickly accepted his current identity. Start pondering what will happen after birth. At this moment, he suddenly felt waves of pain coming from all over his body. The pain was extremely intense, as if countless needles were constantly piercing. He flipped over in pain. I kicked my feet several times unconsciously. It took him a long time to recover from the severe pain. What's the situation? I'm a fetus, why would I feel pain all over my body? He is completely confused. It was also at this moment that he began to seriously examine his body. I don't know if I don't check, but when I check, I'm startled. At this moment, his body can only be described as miserable. The arms and legs are as thin as fried dough twists. Almost in a state of skin and bones. It's like severe malnutrition. It's just the darkness in the womb, he can't see his body. If given a little light, he can see. There were dark red spots on the skin of the fetus, which should have been healthy. It's like a corpse spot. This doesn't seem like a healthy fetus, it's like a stillborn fetus in the womb. Moreover, this is definitely not a congenital deficiency. But rather, it was poisoned with a specific toxin targeting the fetus. Fetal toxicity. Although he couldn't see himself, Fang Han could still feel it. My own state is very abnormal, and it is very likely that I won't even be able to survive birth. I have to go for reincarnation again. However, he was a small fetus trapped inside. But there is no way to save oneself. But at this moment, suddenly, a soft voice rang out from his heart. You have successfully crossed to the Red Tomorrow, the Red Sun realm, and received blessings from the heavenly way, obtained overwhelming intelligence. This voice, like a sweet spring, echoes in his soul. At this moment, Fang Han seemed to be enlightened. The originally chaotic thoughts immediately became clear. His eyes also changed from darkness to clarity. As if the veil covering the world was gently lifted. Although his body was still in extreme condition, he no longer hesitated. The brain also began to run rapidly. I see, it seems that my identity in this life is definitely remarkable. The other party was willing to poison me and make me die in the stomach. And the poisoned ones are so afraid that they only dare to poison me but dare not take action against my mother. My mother's status is absolutely extremely prestigious and precious, so I am very likely to be the prince of a certain royal family. He quickly guessed his identity. Although there is some excitement in my heart. But feeling the constant erosion of fetal toxins in the body. Immediately start calculating the method of detoxification. With my current understanding, just take a brief look at the medical book, Dan Jing. You can immediately become a peerless alchemist, not to mention the mere fetal poison, even the dead can be saved. But I can't go out. He thought for a moment and decided to start from himself. Let's first understand the growth process of the fetus. For me, this is the only opportunity in this life. Although the fetal poison in his body has penetrated deep into his bone marrow, it will not immediately cause him to die. I silently estimated that I still have at least 3 or 4 months left. Thinking of this, Fang Han let go of his body and mind. The whole person floats quietly in the tire. I silently realized it. Time slowly passes by. He could hear his weak heart ringing like a drum. I can feel the growth of muscles, bones, and internal organs. It can be felt that the blood vessels and meridians in the body are constantly forming. Blood is like a stream, flowing with a gentle and graceful flow. Everything was in his mind, forming clear picture scrolls. The embryonic form of a martial arts technique was constantly outlined in his mind. A month has passed by rapidly. At this moment, although he has grown up a bit, the fetal poison on his body has deepened. The whole person almost turned dark red. Suddenly, his eyes suddenly opened. Like the stars in the darkness, shining brightly. It's done. This method can gradually build my fetal body into an innate divine fetus. With the body of a divine fetus, it is not weaker than a special physique. This method is called the condensing method of the primordial heavenly spirits. Chapter 2. Mother, you can eat more and make up for it for me. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a month of enlightenment, Fang Han finally created this sect that has never been before and has never come before. A method that can only be practiced in the womb. Once this method is completed, Fang Han's fetal body immediately becomes like a sponge that has dried up to the extreme. Continuously extracting nutrients and returning them to oneself. Start building the innate divine fetus. In less than a moment, it is almost visible to the naked eye. His body, eroded by fetal poison, has undergone a slight improvement. The body, which was already about to turn black, stopped deteriorating further. Bits of fetal poison were continuously expelled from his pores all over his body. Innate divine fetus, without dirt or purity, like pure glass. Any impurities in the body will be completely eliminated. At the same time, divine patterns kept outlining on his body. It seems to be forming a mysterious pattern. With his life at ease, Fang Han breathed a sigh of relief in his heart. However, although operating this method does not require self-absorption of spiritual energy, it greatly consumes the mother body. Just an hour passed, and Fang Han felt that the nutrients transmitted to his body began to decrease. But he had no choice but to look forward to his mother. Awesome. It's better to be a foodie. I heard that pregnant women are so greedy. Mother, you should eat more delicious food to make up for it. Thinking about it, he closed his eyes. Accelerate the condensation of the heavenly divine child. Dali Imperial City, in the Imperial Garden. The Dali Dynasty is one of the 5 strongest imperial dynasties in the northern regions. The imperial palace is naturally built with exquisite luxury. Beautiful and magnificent, like a heavenly palace. The imperial garden is a place where the emperor and empress often visit. It is also the ultimate masterpiece of repair. The imperial garden not only covers an extremely wide area, but also has 9 curves and 18 bends, and even has peaks and rivers. Standing among them, rare birds and exotic beasts can be seen everywhere. It's just a miniature version of the map of Dali Chao. At this moment, although spring has just begun, in the imperial garden, 100 flowers have already bloomed and colorful butterflies are dancing by a trickling stream. Several palace-dressed women were walking slowly on the neatly trimmed grass. The woman led by her was wearing an extremely gorgeous deep red phoenix robe. But it couldn't conceal the high and protruding lower abdomen. Her hair was curled up high, revealing an extremely beautiful face. It is the current empress of the Dali Dynasty, Gan Qingyun. On both sides of her, there were young palace maids nervously watching. Madam, please slow down. The grass is soft and slippery. Palace maid Xiaofang gently reminded. On the other side, Xiaoqian also nodded repeatedly. Yes, madam, if you slip a bit and startle the crown prince in your belly, we'll have to die before we leave. Gan Qingyun caressed her lower abdomen, revealing a loving mother's smile. You two are just worrying recklessly. You've only been pregnant for 7 months now, how could you be so fragile? Although this palace is an empress, it is not as delicate. She said so. But the footsteps instinctively became stronger. I left for a while. Gan Qingyun suddenly frowned. A feeling of hunger emanated from her abdomen. This feeling of hunger is extremely strange. It's as if I've been hungry for several days. Make her eager to eat something. Ha! Why is my palace suddenly so hungry? I just finished my meal in less than an hour. She may be a bit strange, but her hunger is too strong. I didn't think too much about it, just treat it as a child in my belly who needs nutrition. Turn around and raise your hand. The several palace maids following behind immediately approached. They each held fruit baskets in their hands. There are all kinds of rare fruits, dim sum and crisp candy, as well as all kinds of drinks. They are all prepared for the Empress to eat and drink after playing and getting tired. Upon smelling the aroma of food, Gan Qingyun's eyes lit up. I can't care about the queen's demeanor anymore. Grasping a cake in one hand and holding a verdant fruit in the other. Just start eating big. In the shocked eyes of the palace maids, these are enough delicacies for 4 or 5 adult men to eat. She surprisingly ate it all in less than 15 minutes. Moreover, it seems that there is still some unfinished business. And a pot of tonic diet made from ginseng, bird's nest and other precious tonic. Drink it all in one breath. I wiped the corners of my mouth with satisfaction. I'm full, it's really comfortable. Xiaofang and Xiaoqian were both dumbfounded and swallowed a mouthful of water together. Since then, the queen's diet has also changed its timing. Every 2 hours, you must have a big meal. The food we eat has also added various tonic diet made from natural materials and earth treasures. Such a terrifying amount of absorption, even a master in a perfect warrior realm dare not eat like this every day. Queen Keegan ate for over a month, but it seemed like nothing had happened. Even the skin is more radiant. The whole person is radiant and radiant. And with such high-quality energy supplementation, Fang Han in her abdomen has greatly changed. Chapter 3. Nutrients are too abundant, don't give birth too early. You are listening at novelfull.audio. After a month of continuous absorption of nutrients, we have condensed the primordial divine fetus. At this time, Fang Han and all fetal toxins have been completely eliminated. The whole body is smooth and delicate, and the flesh is full. The whole body was enveloped in an ivory-like luster. There is no longer the sickly and haggard appearance before. The divine lines originally outlined on the skin have gradually formed with the development of congenital fetuses, gradually disappearing into the depths of the skin. Brush. Fang Han's eyes suddenly opened. In an instant, a faint divine light shot out of his eyes. In the dim womb, it seemed as if it had been illuminated for a moment. This is a manifestation of the extremely strong vitality and spirit in the human body. Feeling like a newborn body. Fang Han nodded slightly. Very satisfied. I don't know what delicious food my mother ate outside. The nutrition is just too abundant. I estimate that in another month, my innate divine body will be complete. Don't give birth too early. The condensation method of the pre-heavenly divine birth can only be practiced in this extremely special environment of the birth. If it hasn't been successfully consolidated yet, be born early. Although I won't give up halfway. But it will also leave flaws, not so perfect. He thought as his mind fell silent again. Time passes quickly. In the blink of an eye, the outside world was already clear and crisp, in early autumn. The dim light of the morning is not poisonous, but carries a hint of warmth. Shining on the glazed tiles of the imperial city, reflecting a faint golden light. Today's imperial city is particularly quiet. The imperial guards patrolling the palace are patrolling with small steps. Dare not make any noise. Even the morning court was not held. However, all the princes and ministers had already arrived. Everyone stood in front of the huge hall of mental health, looking towards the direction of the harem, as if expecting something to happen. There are also many ministers gathered in groups of 3 or 2. Discussing quietly. The Empress is going to give birth today, and I don't know if our future crown prince will have any supernatural powers. A white-haired old marquis stroked his beard and said. Someone nodded in agreement on the side. Yeah, don't be like the last princess. I'm 2 years old now, and I'm still foolish and can't even speak. This person is also a powerful official, and he doesn't shy away from speaking. Upon hearing these words, there were immediately many sighs coming from around. At the forefront of the courtiers and workers, several figures stood in full bloom. These people are the true core figures of the entire Dali dynasty. Among them was a tall man, wearing a golden crown and a python robe. Eagle-nosed, eagle-eyed, with a deep breath, is clearly an extremely sharp character. It's none other than the younger brother of the current emperor. King Ruyang, Fang Chongshao. At this moment, his gaze was fixed on the front, without any sadness or joy, and he could not see any expression. Prince, I heard that the crown prince has now reached the realm of a warrior and entered the path of cultivation. At such a young age, it's so early and wise that there will be no limit to it in the future. I really envy the old man. Beside him, the National Teacher Building smiled and opened its mouth. King Ruyang only smiled faintly. The national teacher is highly praised. Even if it's a great skill, I still have to serve my brother. This is our duty as subjects. His tone was very light, without any hint of utilitarianism. The national teacher made a move, but didn't say anything more. The atmosphere in the harem is very tense. The queen's dormitory has now been converted into a delivery room. Many palace maids hold various production pots, hot water, and towels, continuously delivered to the delivery room. The Empress gave birth to a dragon seed, which was a great event in the Dali Dynasty. Everyone was very careful, not even daring to take a breath, afraid that something might go wrong. In the delivery room, Gan Qingyun was pale and lying in bed. At this moment, her face was covered in beads of sweat. Even if they have already given birth to 2 children. But the pain is still unbearable. At her bedside, the best midwife of the entire Dali dynasty was also covered in a burly face. However, she was scared. God bless, Empress, hurry up and give birth to the crown prince. I can't help but be scared, old lady. She kept muttering in her heart, while helping her deliver. At this moment, outside the delivery room, a majestic man with a calm expression, standing at the door. The strong and imposing aura enveloped the entire delivery room. Any wind or grass movement can be detected by them at the first time. It is Fang Lingxiao, the current emperor of the Dali dynasty. Although his face remained unchanged, his hands clenched slightly, still exposing the turmoil within him. Qingyun, this child can't have any more accidents. It seemed like something was on his mind, and a hint of pain flashed on his face. But soon, it was covered up by strong expectations. At this moment, Fang Han is also undergoing his final transformation in the fetus. Chapter 4. The tide of heaven and earth, thousands of birds coming to court. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. At this moment, he is even more divine than a month ago. The body is pure and flawless, as if it were pure glass. A faint glow enveloped the whole body. Divine beyond measure. The divine pattern originally depicted on the body. It has completely hidden inside the body. No trace can be seen. However, strangely enough, in the center of his eyebrows, a divine line appeared again. This divine pattern is extremely complex. Just like a clumsy mischievous child, painted casually. But it seems to have been portrayed in the depths of the soul by countless ancestors who have devoted their hearts and blood. The color is pitch black like ink. But anyone, just look at it at a glance. People will feel that the pitch black color, as if an endless sea of blood has dried up and died. The strong contrast makes people almost vomit blood uncomfortable. And just as this divine pattern is completely formed, suddenly, Fang Han's slightly closed eyes suddenly opened. Congenital divine fetus, perfectly condensed. Buzz. With the successful coalescence of the innate divine fetus, the outside world was once clear and cloudless. Suddenly, there was a cracking sound. It's like a pair of invisible big hands tearing open the curtain of the sky. Moreover, it is not only the Dali imperial city that can hear it. The entire Qiang realm, everyone, regardless of their cultivation. You can hear this cracking sound. Countless ancient beings have opened their drooping eyes for countless years. To the east is the domain, an ancient forbidden area. This is the gathering place of spiritual veins, and the richness of spiritual energy is almost unbelievable. Taking a breath is equivalent to 1 hour of external cultivation. Deep in the forbidden area, an old man slowly opened his eyes. Although it was daytime, there were countless starlights surrounding him. However, the tiny and dusty starlight seemed to have infinite weight, crushing the void, making a loud rumble. There was a hint of shock on his face. This is the tide of heaven and earth. Sure, it's opened. He seemed to be sighing, but also seemed to be reminiscing. But his gaze turned to the side. There, a 7 or 8-year-old child is wrapped in a transparent substance. I don't know how long it has been sealed inside. At this moment, his eyelids suddenly twitched. Such incidents continue to occur throughout the Qiyang realm. In the imperial city, the officials and workers only slightly frowned. I don't know what happened. The king of Ruyang, the national teacher, and others in front of the team looked at each other. I don't even know what happened. Only Fang Lingxiao, standing in front of the delivery room, showed a thoughtful expression on his face. Almost at the same time. In the delivery room, a loud cry suddenly came out. That voice, full of vitality, is too loud. The almost trembling window frames were buzzing and shaking. The water in the copper basin in the house is constantly shaking and rippling. Coming with the cry of newborns. It's the excited singing of the midwife. Congratulations to the emperor, congratulations to the empress for giving birth to dragon seeds without any harm. Weighing 8 pounds and 4 tails. Oh my, the crown prince has a strong fetal body, but he's going to deafen the old lady's ears. Fang Lingxiao outside the door, although he has been the emperor for over a decade. I have long reached the level of being calm in both praise and disgrace. But at this moment, I can no longer hold my breath. Clench your fists tightly and wave fiercely. A silly smile appeared on his face. Great, great. It's my son, the imperial physician heard me right, it's really my son. Ha ha ha, our Lingxiao has a son now. He kept muttering in his mouth. It looks like a triumphant general returning in triumph. The palace maids around had never seen the majestic emperor with such an expression. I couldn't help but chuckle. In the sky, I don't know how many magpies are flying from somewhere. Above the main hall, constantly circling and chirping. The sound is crisp and pleasant to the ear. Magpies are auspicious birds. The palace maids and eunuchs outside are also sensible. Kneel down immediately. Shout loudly. Magpie at the head, this is an auspicious sign. The crown prince is blessed with great fortune. Everyone spoke auspicious words. Seeing such auspicious signs, Fang Lingxiao was also greatly benefited in his heart. In addition, as I am in a great mood at this moment, I am preparing to give everyone a big reward. But he didn't wait for him to speak yet. But seeing everyone kneeling on the ground, they all opened their mouths wide. Staring blankly at the sky. Seems to have seen some soul-shaking scene. Fang Lingxiao was startled and quickly looked up. The whole person was also stunned there. Just see. Above the sky, it's just a short amount of effort. A large area of birds had already gathered, all hovering over the delivery room. And, this is not over yet. In the distance, there are still a constant stream of various birds in all directions. Continuously rushing towards the direction of the harem. It's overwhelming and impossible to count. The new book has been released, begging for data support from the big shots. There are monthly flower tickets to urge updates, reward reviews, and immediately hit the top 10 on the first day. Chapter 5. When the Crown Prince grows up, you will all become old. You are listening at novel.Audio. Countless birds hover and gather like a dark cloud. Even these birds have no cultivation at all. But it still seems to have a heavy sense of oppression. The palace maids and eunuchs who knelt down just now, with their mouths wide open, all took in a lot of bird droppings. Very embarrassed. Fang Lingxiao's face also showed an indescribable joy. 10,000 birds come to court. The sky is cracking. Indeed, it is auspicious. It seems that Wan'er was born extraordinary and remarkable. As a member of the royal family, my name was already established before I was born. He accompanied the entire production process, and now that the mother and son are safe, he is also relieved. Looking eagerly through the window, I looked inside the delivery room. Then, he turned around and went to the heart-nourishing hall. Fang Han blinked his big eyes. Curiously looking around. Everything is very unfamiliar to him. An antique palace, a bustling palace maid, and a wrinkled midwife. And the title of prince just now. This fully confirms my previous speculation. However, he was not too excited. As the crown prince, someone dares to poison me. It seems that this person has a considerable influence. We still need to focus on cultivation. Thinking of this, he tilted his head. Look towards your side. On the delivery bed not far away. Gan Qingyan's face was pale, and the broken hair on his forehead had been stained with sweat. It was messy and pasted on the forehead. But she didn't care at all, tilted her head and looked at herself. Is this my mother? So friendly. A warm current surged through his heart. On the little face, a cute smile unique to babies emerged. Seeing Fang Han's cute smiling face, facing himself. On Gan Qingyan's face, a warm smile bloomed. Xiao Qian, Xiaofang, look, Wan'er is smiling at me. Bring Wan'er over quickly, my body is fine. Gan Qingyan spoke urgently. I wish I could hold my child in my arms now. Xiao Qian is the most clever, she arrived at the baby bed with just one swift step. Watching Fang Han giggling and laughing. She naturally couldn't help but like it in her heart. Carefully picked him up. As if holding a fragile treasure, I slowly walked towards the delivery bed. That step was steady, afraid of being careless. Tripped, fell Fang Han. Sister Xiao Qian, you can take 2 steps quickly. My body is not so fragile. Although Fang Han murmured in his heart, he lay in the arms of the young girl, smelling the fragrance on her body. I have to admit, it is a very comfortable thing. Especially close attendants who can serve beside the queen. Body shape, appearance, and ability are all first class. However, this comfort only lasted for a while. It was taken over by Gan Qingyan. Lying in the embrace of his mother, Fang Han only felt an indescribable sense of comfort and security. A calming emotion transmitted to his heart. Is this your mother's embrace? Having lived 2 generations, I finally realized it. His eyes suddenly became a bit dry. In his past life, he grew up in a cold welfare home from the beginning of his memory. Mother, these 2 words that were so extravagant in my past life. At this moment, he had already appeared in front of him, truly and truly. Having both parents and a rebellious understanding, the crown prince, this life has been truly fulfilling. Fang Han smiled very happily, his eyes narrowed into a slit. That adorable little appearance made the surrounding maids. They all showed a girl's crush smile. The crown prince is too cute, isn't he? So charming at such a young age, I can still grow up. I don't know how many girls I'm going to crush. I'm going to be obsessed with the crown prince now. Just forget it, when the crown prince grows up, you will become an old yellow flower. You're not much stronger either. The Empress Dowager gave birth naturally and was pleased to have the crown prince. The atmosphere in the delivery room naturally became lively and festive. The palace maids were also brave enough to tease each other. Gan Qingyan did not blame either. She held Fang Han in her arms and gently patted his body with her palm. Listening to these exaggerated words from Fang Han, although I know many of them are auspicious. Used to make oneself happy. But still very happy in my heart. After all. In the world. Which mother doesn't like others praising their children? At this moment. Goo 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 goo. The sound, like the chirping of bullfrogs, came from Gan Qingyan's arms. Brush. Suddenly, everyone's gaze was drawn to it. Good guy, I'm just hungry. The sound is a bit loud. Fang Han touched his belly, his face slightly shy. After casting the congenital divine fetus. His physique has far surpassed that of ordinary people. Don't look like it's just a baby, but whether it's muscles, bones, or internal organs. They are not inferior to ordinary young men. Even if you don't eat milk now and just drink and eat meat, you can easily digest it. However, it just doesn't have long teeth, so it may take some effort to chew. Fang Han didn't feel anything, but the maids were all a bit stunned. Is this the crown prince hungry? What a loud noise, it's like beating a drum. The crown prince's physique is also too good, isn't it? Chapter 6. Empress Wan'er, the heaven of the birth of great figures. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Even the midwife is somewhat unbelievable. Continuously praising. I have been delivering for a lifetime, old lady. Fat, thin, black, white, two-headed, with objects on their bodies. What kind of child have you never seen? Like the crown prince, he was born smooth as jade. It is rare for the organs to stir like thunder. Congratulations, madam. The crown prince is a rare divine fetus. Her words were half surprising, and the other half a compliment. Any fetus born extraordinary is called a divine fetus. Fang Han is not afraid of what she sees. Congenital divine fetus, with introverted divine nature after birth. I'm not shining all over. Ding Tian is just a fetus with good skin. No one competed, and Fang Han quickly had his first full meal after birth. He patted his round little belly with satisfaction. Seeing Fang Han so delicious, Gan Qingyun was equally delighted. A large stone hanging in my heart was lowered halfway. My own son was born so extraordinary. As one grows up, one must also be a genius-like character. It is also natural to inherit the throne of the Dali Dynasty in the future. Looking at Fang Han with big eyes full of spirituality and a smile. Gan Qingyun's nose was inexplicably sour, and her eyes were filled with water vapor. Almost about to shed tears. Subconsciously holding him tightly. If your sister Wan'er was also so healthy, that would be great. Fang Han blinked his eyes. He, who was sharp, felt a very sad emotion from his mother. Ha! Mother, what's wrong with this? Why does it seem a bit unhappy? Do you have something on your mind? He was full of doubts, but he didn't dare to ask. He can be a genius, but he doesn't want to be seen as a monster. Fortunately, Gan Qingyun only felt sad for a while, so she tidied up her mood. I hugged Fang Han for a while again and felt rare. She felt a strong sense of drowsiness coming. Her weak body after childbirth also made her unable to regain any energy. Seeing the maid Xiaotsui carefully carry Fang Han away and wrap him in swaddling clothes. Put it back in the crib. She finally let go of her worries. After letting the maids change into clean bedding, they finally fell asleep. In the delivery room, in order not to disturb the queen's rest. Just leave a few close attendants to take care of the left and right. After the other palace maids tidy up the room. Salute and leave together with the midwife and others. But as soon as everyone opened the door, one of the little palace maids let out a light sigh. Ha! Isn't it just morning? Why is it cloudy? Is it going to rain? It doesn't make sense. It's still sunny in the morning. She looked at the shadows on the ground and then casually glanced at the sky. Seeing the overwhelming darkness, I instinctively said something. But the next moment, she was stunned. In both eyes, there was an incredulous expression. Fingers trembled as they pointed towards the sky. Birds. Birds. The palace maid walking behind her thought she had developed hysteria. Gently gave her a push. Make way for the road. But when all the palace maids walked out, I'm also dumbfounded. The birds covering the sky and earth had almost enveloped half of the palace by now. There are too many to count. Almost all the bird tribes from the entire capital have flown in. All circling around the delivery room. From a distance, it looks like a huge black vortex that is about to devour the heavens and earth. The midwife's lips trembled with fear. 100 birds facing the phoenix, this is 100 birds facing the phoenix. Ah! But the Empress gave birth to a crown prince. She was also foolish there. Xiao Qian and others in the room didn't leave and they saw the people outside. Instead, they were shouting and screaming there. Just prepare to go up and reprimand. But before they left the door, they had already seen the scene outside through the door. One by one, they all froze in place. Xiaofang's reaction is rapid. A look of ecstasy appeared on the face. Immediately turned around and knelt beside Gan Qingyun's bed. Madam, great news. The crown prince is pregnant with a birth illusion. 100. Ah no, it's 1,000 birds coming to pay their respects. 100 birds facing the phoenix is definitely not suitable to describe Fang Han, her mind is spinning fast. I immediately changed the word. Xiao Qian and others also looked shocked and ecstatic. Kneel down to bring good news. As palace maids, they naturally know some secrets that ordinary people do not understand. Between heaven and earth, wherever there is a great figure born, it will inevitably trigger anomalies in heaven and earth. Or the blue sky and white sun suddenly thunder and lightning. Or it could be a house full of anomalies at birth. Or there is a white crane carrying fairy grass. Or white apes come to deliver treasures. Even worse, there are countless examples of meteors falling from different days and white rainbows piercing through the sun. After listening to the narration of Xiao Qian and others, Gan Qingyun also had a surprised expression on his face. She didn't see the amazing celestial phenomena outside. But after calming down, the sound of thousands of birds flapping their wings outside was truly heard in her ears. She looked incredulously at Fang Han lying on the crib, drowsy and about to fall asleep. It seems that this little guy is much better than his mother thought. Although the vision outside is spectacular, the bird droppings pouring down from thousands of birds. It's really unbearable. The midwives and palace maids who were covered in bird droppings outside were amazed at the beginning. They all covered their heads one by one and ran to change clothes. Close the door and the delivery room returns to calm once again. Xiao Qian and Xiaofang no longer think about the outside world. Arriving at the baby bed, he whispered to Fang Han to fall asleep. Gan Qingyun watched with a smile on her lips and fell asleep. And at this moment, in a side hall next to the Queen's palace, a little girl over 2 years old is sitting on the ground in a daze. Chapter 7. Tidal news in the sky, only today will you know me. You are listening at novel.Audio. There are many small toys placed around her. Bamboo dragonfly, plucking drum, small cloth doll. The production is not as exquisite as in toy stalls in the market. The bamboo dragonfly is crooked and twisted, and the strings of the drum are also of varying lengths. Frog, little tiger-like puppet with crooked stitches. At first glance, it is clear that it was done by an outsider. The little girl, however, showed no disdain at all, holding a stuffed pig with an open thread in her hands. His expression was numb, his eyes were dull and empty, as if he had lost his soul. At the entrance of the side hall, there are 2 palace maids guarding the gate. Glancing into the room, there was a look of regret on his face. Talking haphazardly. The fate of Princess Wan'er is really hard. She has been born for 2.5 years now, and she is still so foolish. Strange to say. Our emperor, how high our cultivation is. How could we possibly have children with incomplete minds? Moreover, no matter what kind of miraculous medicine it is, the miraculous hand doctor cannot cure it. The palace maid on the left side lightly. In order to cure the crown princess Fang Wan. Over the past 2 years, Fang Lingxiao and Gan Qingyun have exhausted all possible means. Having exhausted all the resources and connections of the Dali Dynasty. Even at the cost of precious resources, the elders of the medicine Immortal Valley in the Beiluo domain were invited to come and treat them. But the result is still in vain. According to the elder, it is a congenital absence of divine souls. There is no cure for medicinal stones. This sentence was spoken in his mouth, and she had basically been sentenced to death. Since then, the Emperor and Empress have no longer been persistent. And Fang specially built a side hall for her next to the Empress's dormitory. Convenient for the sweet and clear clouds to shine. The other palace maid also shook her head. Being such a good person like Empress is unfair to be naive. However, the Empress really loves Princess Wan'er. Not only does she have to personally cook and manage all 3 meals, but even those children's toys. We all need to make it ourselves. The two of them said this. Everyone couldn't help but sigh. This may be the only thing Gan Qingyun, as a mother, can do for her daughter. By the way, did you hear the noise from the sky just now? I heard you. I don't know what's going on, maybe it's the sound made by birds flying over. Hee, why don't you say that good women have good karma? Seeing the birth of the crown prince, how powerful he is. In the future, he will definitely be Mingjun. We're both here, we haven't seen the crown prince yet. Don't worry, there will be plenty of opportunities in the future, maybe you can still hug him. Excited. The more they talked, the more excited they became, and their faces burst into laughter. Excitedly rubbing hands again. But he didn't pay attention. In the palace, the Princess Fang, who has always been dull and foolish. In his dull eyes, he was first filled with confusion. Then, a little spiritual light filled my eyes from the inside out. The next moment, a stunning expression suddenly bloomed in his eyes. A low murmur. A faint message came from her mouth. The chaos of time and space revolves around, trapping the mystery in the womb. The tide in the sky knows today that I am me. Brush. She suddenly stood up from the ground. My small body trembled slightly. Although she has not yet achieved any cultivation. But there is a terrifying aura that dominates the 8 wildernesses and sweeps across the 6 harmonies. Emanating from her body. The originally expressionless eyes are now as cold as frost. Anyone who looks at these innocent eyes cannot help but feel a sense of shame and obscenity. Moreover, there is a terrifying illusion of a sea of corpses and blood, a sky and earth red with blood, and gods and demons falling like rain. However, this terrifying aura only flashed away in a flash. Quickly, the breath on her body slowly disappeared. It's no different from an ordinary little girl. She stood still, as if recalling something. After a while, a hint of luck appeared on his face. It's very close. The mystery of the 9th generation of this deity's womb is so terrifying. If it weren't for this tidal wave of heaven and earth, creating a new world and shaking the road. Awaken my lost soul. I'm afraid I can only muddle through this life and then fall completely. She patted her chest with her small hand. With his big eyes narrowed, he let out a long breath. The memories of these 2.5 years are like flowing water. Flowing through her heart. She lowered her head slightly and looked at the scattered toys around her. And the crooked and stitched little pig puppet in hand. Unconsciously hold tightly with both hands. Is this the father and mother of this world? That's great. She looked up at the top of the hall and blinked a few times. Then, he looked towards the queen's dormitory next door. Mother should have given birth today. I don't know if it's giving birth to a younger brother or sister for me. Go take a look. Although the tides of heaven and earth are believed, the great world has arrived, and everyone should strive to cross it. But I'm not short of this either. At this moment, her spirit returns and the road is promising. My mood naturally improves. Just walk towards the door. I am still thinking that my mother will see me soon. Will you jump up in surprise? Thinking about it, she stretched out her short legs. Bang! With one kick, the thick side hall door was kicked open. He swaggered out. The 2 palace maids at the door are idle and bored. The loud noise behind them startled both of them. I thought something was wrong. As soon as I turned around, I happened to bump into Fang. Silence, along with it came a piercing scream. Ah! The princess. She has come to her senses. P.S. Today's first update, there will be 5 updates in the future. Kneeling down and begging the big shots to provide some data, let me know that it's not just a single machine. Today, there are 1,000 flowers, 100 evaluation votes, 1 reward, and 10 changes immediately. Not to mention it, you immediately scold me in the comments section, absolutely add refinement and do not delete it. Chapter 8. Fang, the sneaky dog, meets sister and brother. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Their voices were so good that they startled Fang. Why are you two shouting so loudly? She gave both of them a glare. In the tone, that irresistible flavor. The 2 palace maids were frightened and dared not speak again. The next moment, both of them stared like copper bells. Oh my goodness, the princess can speak now. Listen to the duet in your ear. Fang felt very speechless in her heart. In her opinion, she just slept for 2.5 years without taking over her body. But she doesn't know. To outsiders, this is an inexplicable medical miracle. At the same time, on the day of the birth of Prince Fang, the crown princess Fang's intelligence was greatly expanded. It will definitely become a heavyweight news in the future. The 2 palace maids exclaimed in surprise for a while, and their faces lit up with joy. He ran towards the outside in a panic. It seems that I must have gone to report it. Although Fang regained her senses, it was not their fault. But the first messenger can definitely receive many rewards. Fang rolled her eyes. In her capacity, she naturally didn't bother to see the 2 palace maids on the same page. No longer paying attention to the 2, he lifted his foot and walked out. But he didn't take 2 steps. She was dumbfounded. The bird droppings on the ground almost completely blocked her way out. The strange smell almost made her flip over. Has the palace been attacked by a bird demon? Why is bird droppings everywhere? She pinched her nose and looked at the sky with suspicion. But at this moment, thousands of birds have already dispersed. But she looked at loneliness. Watching the palace attendants carrying brooms and buckets constantly rushing to clean the ground in the distance. She, who was quite obsessed with cleanliness, had to go back the same way. In my own capacity, how can I tolerate these filthy things to touch me? She held her little head high. Walk back to the side hall. There is a connecting gateway between the side hall and the queen's dormitory. It is also for the convenience of the queen coming to take care of Fang. She still has a sense of propriety in her heart. I don't know if my mother has given birth or not, and I dare not speak loudly. Open the door carefully this time. It's like being a thief. The door is only halfway open. First, he poked the small brain pouches with 2 cute ball heads inside. Dogs sneak around. Looking into the sleeping hall. At this moment, the dormitory is very quiet. The other maids left one after another. Only Xiaoqian and Xiaofang remained, wiping their sweat by Qinyan's side. The other one is watching from the side of the baby bed where Fang is lying. Prevent Fang from sleeping dishonestly and falling down again. Although the sleeping hall covers a large area, with Fang's eyesight, I naturally understand. It seems that my mother has finished giving birth. Mother looks so tired. Let her sleep well, I still don't want to disturb her. Just sneak over and take a look at the little one. She knew in her heart that if she swaggered in, those 2 maids would never be too calm when they saw themselves. If it wakes up my mother, it won't be good. I'm thinking about it. I saw Xiaoqian, who was responsible for taking care of Fang, with a slightly unpleasant expression on her face. A pair of feet, constantly touching the ground. It seems to have been endured very hard. Sure enough, it didn't take long. She approached the maid Xiaofang, blushing with embarrassment, and leaned in her ear. "I don't know what I said." Xiao Fang gave her a bad look in anger. Then he waved his hand. Xiao Qian, on the other hand, was granted amnesty. With a slight bow on his body, he covered his lower abdomen and walked out of the back door of the dormitory in small steps. Leave only Xiaofang, occasionally glancing at the crib. In front of the crib, it is empty. Great, I'll go take a look now. She rubbed her little hands. Her petite body crawled through the crack in the door in one fell swoop. Then, the cat crouched down. Slipped towards the crib. Although she has no cultivation now, her martial arts and cultivation insights from her past life are still present. Due to the limitations of the physical body, although it is impossible to use any profound body techniques. But with the help of various decorations and obstacles in the house, it is still not a problem to sneak over them. Quickly, she arrived at the crib with her agile movements. We still need to focus on cultivation. Without cultivation, it's so difficult to use some spiritual level body techniques. My waist is almost broken. With the cover of a crib, she felt relieved. Symbolically needed my own imaginary waist. This is when I looked at the crib. The crib is not very high, for adults, it just reaches the base of their thighs. But for Fang Wan, it's a bit difficult to handle. The small brain melon is exactly flush with the edge of the bed. In addition, the sandalwood guardrails on both sides are blocking it. I can't see anything. A broken crib, why are you so tall? She muttered to herself. Then, extend two slender arms. Grasping onto the edge of the bed. Wearing embroidered ball shoes, the feet are slightly on the ground. Holding the head of the meatball, it was round and had a little baby fat on it. He slowly rose up from the bedside. A pair of big eyes, like thieves, aimed at Fang Han on the crib. Although Fang Han felt a bit confused at this moment, he hadn't fallen asleep yet. Watching Xiao Qian hurriedly leave, I felt a sigh in my heart. Being a girl is troublesome. Just prepare to continue sleeping. Suddenly, the sound of sheets rubbing against each other could be heard from the bedside. This is not the sound of flipping over. What's going on? He instinctively turned his head. Coincidentally, it collided with Fang Wan's slowly rising head. The atmosphere froze instantly. Fang Wan didn't expect to get the right look at Fang Han. First, take a moment. This is my little brother, he looks quite cute. When meeting for the first time, always leave a good impression. Thinking about it, a smile that I thought was very cute appeared at the corner of my mouth. However, she didn't see herself now. The small face rubbed against the black paint unconsciously. With a small grin and dense white teeth, it was indeed a bit terrifying. Fang Han is still a bit confused at this moment. Seeing this scene. My hair is about to explode. Sleeping trough, what kind of monster? A chubby little hand waved. Subconsciously, it was like slapping and exhaling. Pop. Today's second update, there are already over 200 fresh flowers. Chapter 9. Catching the traitor Fang Wan'er under the bed, fragrant and soft. You are listening at novelfull.audio. This slap is like Fang Han letting out his heart. Just a little baby, then give you a slap. The trajectory is like a gazelle hanging its horns, with no trace to find. Fang Wan didn't react at all. I feel like my eyes are black. The next moment, I was touched by Fang Han's tender hand. Passed through the gap of the wooden guardrail. The knot solidly shouted on his face. It hurts. This slap is truly powerful. Fang Wan felt as if she had been slapped with a wooden board. The brain melon seeds are buzzing. Venus is rising straight in front of me. My eyes are all blurred. Looking at Fang Han in front of me, he had a double shadow. She sat on the ground in a daze. My heart is burning with anger. The little thing looks quite cute, how could it be so ruthless? My teeth are almost knocked out. She bared her baby teeth and inhaled in pain. On the other side, Fang naturally also heard the sound near the crib. Follow the sound. Why is there any movement at the Crown Prince's place? Oh, it turns out that the swaddle on my body is loose. The Crown Prince is in good health. He's just born, and I can't even hold him in swaddling clothes. It's better to pack it quickly, otherwise when Xiaoqian comes back, she will definitely blame me for not taking good care of the Crown Prince. Seeing such a small matter, she breathed a sigh of relief. Whispered a sentence. Get up and walk over to repack Fang Han. Fang Wan sat on all fours behind the crib. Although she can't see ahead, she is deaf and clear. I heard footsteps coming towards here. My heart is in a panic. For the first time, there was a feeling of being guilty of being a thief. It's too late to run anymore now. She swept her eyes around. I looked under the crib. I didn't think much about it either. My body collapsed, like a big black mouse. Swish, swish. I crawled under the crib in a few seconds. I have long heard that ordinary people in the world, when they have an affair, are caught and in a state of desperation, they will go to the bottom of the bed. Unexpectedly, my unparalleled posture will one day fall to the bottom of a drilling machine. Fang Wan, lying under the bed, felt like a sneaky little cat. The small face, covered in gray, was a bit flushed. In my heart, I am secretly determined. This black history must be kept confidential and rotten in the stomach. Fortunately, no one knows about this except for that little guy. I have saved my face. Fang Wan thought inwardly. Fang walked over and saw Fang Han lying quietly in bed, blinking his big eyes. Cute doesn't work. Directly ignited Fang's teenage heart. She first turned her head cautiously to look at Empress gone. Seeing her sleeping soundly, I finally let go and gently picked up Fang Han. Holding it in my arms is a rare meal. The fragrant and soft prince, sobbing. Fang Han was held in her arms, rubbing and pinching. A beautiful little face. It's still the little sister's embrace that feels the most comfortable. However, why didn't she see that big black mouse just now? After a while, she reluctantly placed Fang Han, who had been shaken unconscious, back on the bed. Carefully wrap it up for him again. I just walked back. Fang Han and Fang Wan seemed to have a spiritual connection in their hearts. At the same time, he breathed a sigh. Fortunately, I was not discovered, otherwise I would have lost my dignity. At first glance at my younger brother, I was slapped, and I'm so lucky to die. I don't have the same view as you now. When you grow up, look at me as a sister. How to repair you? But it's really strange, as a newborn baby, how could he have such a strong hand? And that slap actually gave me a sense of although heaven and earth are vast, there is nowhere to escape. Recalling Fang Han's palm just now, she suddenly had a ridiculous idea in her heart. But then he shook his head. I guess it was a blind cat that killed a mouse. I have just broken through the mystery in the womb, my mind is in a daze. Fang Wan didn't care too much in her heart. I'm not planning to stay any longer. After listening for a moment and confirming that it won't be discovered, he crawled out from under the bed with a cat on his body. Taking a sneak glance from left to right, he quickly crawled towards the side hall. Fang Han is pondering over where the big black mouse went just now. Suddenly, my eyelids twitched. I saw Fang Wan's movements agile, swaying left and right. Continuously moving and rushing towards the small gate of the side hall. Good guy, the mouse has become sperm. It's so big. Is the defense of this palace so loose? He looked straight in his eyes. Looking at it, my heart suddenly jumped. No, it seems like a little girl. The little girl. Is the little girl who can move around freely in the palace my sister? He is just speculating. Fang Wan, who was about to enter the side hall, seemed to feel Fang Han's gaze. The body paused and stopped there. Suddenly looking back. The gaze of the siblings separated from the spacious hall. So, they collided together. A strange feeling rose from the deepest part of their hearts. Confirmed, this must be sister. Stinky kid, don't shout out loud, trick your sister. The third watch, lying in bed, the big shots are too impressive. They spent over 1,000 yuan, and we also have monthly tickets. The 10th watch will be presented immediately, and we won't be asking for data today. Chapter 10. The Crown Prince's Birth, Emperor Qi's Protection, Hong. You are listening at novel.Audio. At this time, the Dali court was also filled with joy. The vision of 10,000 birds coming to court just now was also seen by everyone. All officials, civil and military, are congratulating and saying auspicious words below. Although the arrival of thousands of birds in the morning cannot be said to be the highest level of auspicious birth. But it also belongs to a very auspicious type. The meaning is that he was born an emperor and all the people return to their hearts. In the future, he will definitely be a good hand in governing the country and pacifying the world. There could be such an heir in the Dali dynasty who would serve as vassals. Naturally, I feel at ease. After all, no one is willing to follow a foolish ruler. Fang Lingxiao sat high on the dragon chair. Although only a faint smile appeared on his mouth. But deep down, I have long been happy to bloom. A few more words, I love to hear. Praising Wan'er more is more effective than praising me. He secretly thought to himself. Glancing down. When I saw Prince Fang Chongxiao of Ruyang. Heart is like a movement. Now, I also have a crown prince. My younger brother's crown prince, Fang Yuan, is extremely talented. I'm not envious either. Before, there was no time for Fang Han to be born. Listening to how powerful the Prince of Ruyang was, he thought to himself that it was impossible for him not to feel uncomfortable. And if I really haven't given birth to a crown prince? In the future, it is uncertain whether this throne will be passed on to this nephew. But now, there is no such worry anymore. Brother Heshi, let's present a crown prince who accompanies us with good fortune in the Dali dynasty. In the future, it will definitely take Dali Chao to the next level. When the crown prince grows up in the future, I will let Fang Yuan Duo come and get closer. There's no shortage of our own brothers in the world. King Ruyang has a humble and natural expression. Grand Tutor, National Tutor, and other powerful officials exchanged glances. No one spoke. But the courtiers behind all nodded silently at the back of King Ruyang. Ha ha ha, good, good. Fang Lingxiao waved his satisfied hand. Seems very satisfied with the attitude of King Ruyang. Just at this moment. Suddenly, there was a eunuch outside, leading 2 palace maids. Kneeling hastily at the door in confusion. Double happiness on the door, my lord. Empress Fang Wan, she has regained her senses. A sentence from the eunuch seemed like a thunderbolt. Roaming in the hearts of all the officials and ministers. There was an uproar in the court. Even more so, Fang Lingxiao, who was sitting on the dragon chair, almost stumbled. Brush. The eunuch and palace maid only felt a gentle breeze before their eyes. The next moment. Fang Lingxiao's body had already appeared in front of them. What you said is true, isn't it that you read it wrong? Although his tone remained calm. But everyone present could hear the emotions contained in that statement. That is the contradiction of anticipation and fear after countless disappointments. It's absolutely true, Your Majesty. Brush. They haven't finished speaking yet. As Fang Lingxiao's body moved, his whole body turned into a stream of light. Fly towards the dormitory. Taisher, Guosher, Fugua Gong, Zhenhai Ho, come with me. In addition, Soa Chuan Tai Hospital. A powerful voice drifted in. The Grand Tutor and others also had a joyful expression in their eyes, and their bodies flickered. They all turned into flowing light and quickly followed suit. King Ruyang looked at the shadows of the crowd leaving, with a hint of strangeness in his eyes. In the side hall of the sleeping palace. Congratulations, Your Majesty, I have carefully examined it. Confirm that everything is normal for the princess, her mind is full and calm. The symptoms of losing soul have disappeared. It must be the birth of the crown prince, protected by imperial aura, and blessed with abundant blessings. Due to excitement. Several old doctors who came to examine Fang Wan were all staring with round eyes. Unexpectedly, they suffered from congenital amnesia that left them helpless. Surprisingly, it's just so silent. They dare not say they are incompetent. I had to start slapping Rainbow Fart. They are too clear in their hearts that at this moment, the only option is to move the crown prince out. That's the no-death card. Fang Lingxiao is in a great mood at this moment. Not only did my son get married, but my daughter miraculously improved as well. I was not originally planning to punish them. Satisfied, he waved his hand and let them go down to receive the reward. Then, he crouched down. My eyes are full of excitement. Feeling a bit uncertain, I reached out my hand to touch Fang Wan's small face. Fang Wan had her eyes crossed. She was just about to practice when she was interrupted. A few imperial physicians came in for a check-up, feeling depressed. As my father reached out, he didn't hesitate to block me. Dad, your hand is too rough. I'm not afraid to scratch your daughter's face. Although she may not be angry, she is just a child in her 20s. The sound is milky and creamy. There is no deterrent force at all. Instead, it feels like a little girl playing coquettish with her father. Upon hearing these words, Fang Lingxiao not only did not lose heart, but also became ecstatic. Sure enough. Wan'er, you have indeed recovered from your illness. God bless me, Dali Chao. At this moment, how could he still manage whether Fang Wan agreed or not? I picked her up with just one hand. Fang Wan was about to stare. Suddenly. She felt it. A thick and almost indelible joy and sadness. It was conveyed from his majestic figure. A warm drop of water fell on her cheek. Fang Wan, who had intended to struggle for a while, trembled in her heart. Dad doesn't cry, hug. Today's fourth update.